Right now, Hurricane Melissa on the brink of making landfall as the most powerful storm to ever strike Jamaica.
The monster Category 5 storm is closing in, and we are tracking it all.
Welcome to NBC News Daily this Tuesday. I'm Vicki Wynn.
I'm Morgan Radford. It is Tuesday, October 28th, and let's take a live look at Montego Bay, a major tourist hotspot. That slow-moving storm is packing 185-mile-per-hour winds, and there's also serious concern about potential catastrophic flooding. At least 7 deaths have already been reported across the Caribbean, in Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic.
Take a look at this historic bridge in Jamaica's capital city, Kingston. On the left, you can see what the bridge looked like before the storm. On the right, it is now completely underwater. Hurricane hunters flew into the eye of the storm and captured this video. And in a moment, we will speak with a meteorologist who tagged along for a mission and saw the hurricane up close.
The first NBC News correspondent, George Solis, joins us live from Kingston, Jamaica. George, I mean, we're talking eye of the storm. What is it like on the ground there now?
Yes, so this is going to be a historic day for Jamaica. There's no denying that. We are in Kingston, a town of about just under 1 million people. The good news here, from what we've been hearing from the National Hurricane Center, from the meteorologists, is that we're going to see those outer bands, the tropical force storm winds here. But there's still going to be a lot of rain to contend with. And that is a big concern when you think about some of the rain that's already fallen here, even before Melissa approach here. So that is going to increase the dangerous conditions in terms of the roadways here, any infrastructure. We're talking about rain potentially in the double digits. Any structure, of course, that isn't newer or meant to withstand these stronger gusts of wind, even if they're not at the center or near the eye, are obviously going to take a hit. And I say this because we were on the ground a little earlier, and already we were starting to see some of those buildings, older and new, where the siding was starting to rip off a little bit, some palm trees, some debris that has been falling on the ground here. And for that reason, our team has hunkered down here, ready to weather the storm until it passes, just because at this point, we really don't know what could be flying out there and how quickly these roads may start to flood. This is something that officials have warned us about from day one and even before, that because of the amount of rainfall that's expected with this storm, the roadways here could be impassable. And we've been touring a lot of the low-lying areas that have historically flooded, talking with residents. We've also been speaking with tourists that are, for lack of a better word, stranded in the northern part of the island and some of the resort towns like Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, where, again, right now, they're telling us conditions are pretty rapidly. No evacuation orders that we've heard of on that side of the island, but a lot of those people in those resorts taking precautions now, everything from putting up mattresses against doors, windows, doing everything they need to do. Because, again, the messaging with this storm, especially that it did not lose any strength as it starts to come on shore here, is that it is just a monster storm that is going to be catastrophic for Jamaica, guys.
It's so tough, George, because not everyone has somewhere else to go. You've been talking with Jamaicans who have had to stay and ridden out other storms. What are people telling you about their concerns?
Yeah, their concerns, especially for those that are in those low-lying areas, is just how bad the storm surge might be. Can their structures withstand some of these winds? And keep in mind, though, the government took every necessary precaution to try and evacuate as many people as possible from these areas, opening up emergency shelters, bringing buses in to get them out. And again, just reminding people that if you don't have a safe place to go, that your time was running out. A lot of people that were in these communities telling us that because they have ridden out some hurricanes here before, some of the historic ones from Gilbert, Ivan, and Beryl last year, that they weren't so bad, so they felt they could take it. But hopefully, the officials hope the people have heeded the warning and are now in their safe space, guys.
All right, we hope you stay safe while reporting there from Kingston, Jamaica. George Solis. George, thank you.
NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns has been following the storm and joins us now. So, Bill, you've talked about how Hurricane Melissa is really a slow-moving storm, and that's what makes it so dangerous. Explain why.
The longer you have these extreme winds over the same location, the more damage that's going to occur. I mean, it's just a physics question. And this is the equivalent of, I'd say, an EF4 tornado. Our tornado scale goes 0 to 5. 5s are extremely rare. 4s only happen a couple times. And usually they're not 14 miles wide like this eye. So that's how extreme what's starting now and going to continue as we go throughout the next 4 hours. And then it's going to be done with Jamaica by about 3 or 4 p.m. this afternoon. But that landfall is imminent. So you can see here, this is is our visible satellite imagery. So the satellite up in space is taking a picture every minute to show us what the center of the storm looks like. And this is the eye. Where you see the black in here is actually the ocean surface. All the way down at the bottom, you can see what we call mesovorticities kind of spinning inside that eye. And notice that jog. This black line shows you the past path. It was heading up towards Black River, and now it's taking a jog to the west. That's important because whoever goes through the eye is going to have that extreme damage, unless you're in a concrete building, uninhabitable towns that go through this eye. So this west jog brings Cambridge into play. And of course, we got Montego Bay up here. They were supposed to be not going through the eye, but this jog, I mean, you could just see it. I mean, you can see it yourself here. Let me show you a different view of it, of what we're looking at. This is our infrared. So we colorize that same clouds where you see the bright red is the colder cloud tops, and this is the eye, which is warmer, and you could clearly see it's heading more north, and it almost looks very difficult now to even miss Montego Bay. The reason I mention it is because it's like the biggest tourist destination on Jamaica. There's probably a lot of tourists still trapped there that didn't get out, and the population alone is about 85,000 people. So I mean, if we get this to go through here, I mean, we have just, and the main airport is there. So if the airport gets extremely damaged, and that's how they're going to try to get stuff in. The only other major airport is all the way over here in Kingston, who, by the way, only has 30, 25-mile-per-hour winds. The reason we're not getting winds here in Montego Bay is that the airport already went out, so we're not going to get any more readings from there. So the latest from the Hurricane Center, and this is kind of the history aspect of it, 185-mile-per-hour winds. So as this makes landfall in the next hour, this is going to equal a hurricane that hit the Keys in 1935, 90 years ago, as the strongest storm in the Atlantic Basin ever to make landfall. So for the most part, this is something no one alive has ever seen again. And when we see the pictures of this devastation, it's going to look like the worst tornado you ever saw, but it's going to go right through the western half of the island.
And you say wrapping by 3 to 4. We will be watching. Bill Cairns, thank you so much.
Well, My Radar senior meteorologist Matt Capucci joins us now. He flew through Melissa Sunday night on board an NOAA aircraft, informally known as Kermit. Matt, first off, thanks for making the time. I mean, this has been difficult, I think, for everyone around. And I know that you described the eye of that storm as a 10-mile-wide stadium of the gods. What did you see and feel throughout that flight?
You know, I sort of knew what I was getting into in that I overnighted actual motion sickness bags on Amazon, because when you fly into these hurricanes, it's like being on Space Mountain at Disney World for hours on end. Imagine being sort of jostled around, up, down, left, right, to and fro, not being able to see a thing. And that goes on for a long time. It's completely pitch black. And then suddenly it's calm. Now, the hurricane hunters fly in there at about 280 miles per hour. And so suddenly it just sort of drops off. It's quiet all of a sudden. And I looked out the window, and even though it was dark, the moon was shining down on this stadium effect, which you see on screen right there. I could see stars twinkling above me. It was like being in the world's biggest whirlpool in the atmosphere. In a weird sense, almost peacefully sinister, in that I was in this oasis of calm. You couldn't hear anything. It was very nice. But then all around me, this sort of whirl of gloom, this buzzsaw in the atmosphere. And it was such cognitive dissonance to be at peace, but know that 5 miles in any direction, hell on earth was unfolding.
Matthew, hearing your words and the way that you describe it, and as we look at these images that you captured, it really is almost poetic. But you're up there, obviously, not just for the riot aspect of it. You're a meteorologist. Talk about the types of critical data that you're looking for with this particular storm as you're in it, basically. What are you hoping to learn?
Yeah, so Bill just showed a great example from satellite peering down from space. We have satellites in space about 22,000 miles above the ground looking down at these hurricanes, but they can't get information like temperature, wind, barometric pressure, basically how much air the storm is ingesting. And that's why both NOAA and the Air Force send in these hurricane hunter planes to literally penetrate inside the eye and take these incredibly valuable measurements. And that data goes 2 places, National Hurricane Center and weather models. So all the model simulations helping forecasters used this data.
It's interesting because when you sort of compare what you described, I thought just beautifully, as this peacefully sinister storm from your vantage point. How is this storm different from even just the other storms that you've personally flown through with NOAA?
So I've only flown through 2 so far, but I can tell you, the structure was incredibly crisp. In a sense, meteorological perfection in the worst way possible. To get a storm to this level, the atmosphere has to be perfect. You have to have weak winds in the upper atmosphere so as to not knock the storm off kilter. Incredibly warm water temperatures. You have to have moisture at all different levels. And you have to have spreading of the air aloft to basically evacuate the exhaust of the storm. And yet, to get something like that to be so perfect is also what makes it so destructive.
Yeah. Something else we've heard you talk about, Matthew, is that this trip for you is equal parts scientifically stunning, but also horrifying from a humanitarian standpoint. We appreciate you being up there, putting yourself at risk to gather this really important data. Matthew Capucci, thank you so much.
You're looking at live pictures right now of Montego Bay.
More than 24,000 customers are currently without power, and at least 7 hurricane-related deaths have been reported across the Caribbean so far. We're going to continue to bring you the very latest updates as this storm develops.
David Watkins and his family are riding out the storm currently at a hotel in Montego Bay, and he joins us now. David, first, thank you so much for making time. I know that you guys have a lot of things you're focused on right now as you prepare. Your flight back home, we understand, was canceled on Sunday. So just tell us sort of what the state of play is at the hotel where you are and what preparations have been made.
So they boarded up everything. They've, put all the furniture away. As of 8 o'clock last night, we weren't allowed to leave the room anymore. They're bringing food to the room, almost like room service. The security is constantly walking up and down the hallways. So when we came to the room last night, we took showers, not knowing when the next time we were going to be able to take showers was, and basically turned our bathroom into our bunker for the kids, to keep them safe. Boarded, put behind us the mattress box frames up against the sliding door, secured that, made bags so that if we need to leave in a hurry, we could grab and go. We got life jackets for the kids, and just praying for the best.
David, we really appreciate you joining us, and we understand you've actually been visiting Jamaica with your family for more than 20 years. You call it a second home. Tell us a little bit more about the conditions you have experienced this island nation in and your concerns for the people who live there full time.
So, driving through here, not during this, but normally one of the great things is the culture. We love the culture here. The people here, they're great. They'll give you the shirt off their back. The roads, it's getting better, but it's always been, almost dirt roads. The paved roads are iffy. So I know what it's been like back at home where we have, modern infrastructure. And I can only guess at what type of damage, with the mountainous terrain. The mountains basically extend from the coastline all the way inland. Even when you're not in the per se mountains, you're still 100, 150 feet above the water. It's hilly terrain all throughout. We normally go towards the western side of the island, towards Negril, and there's a little town there called Lucy, and it's famous for the road that takes you from Montego Bay to Negril. The road itself sits underneath sea level. So I can only guess what the people we know that way are facing right now.
David, Morgan here. I got to say, I'm smiling actually listening to your description. I got chills on my arms as a girl with Jamaican roots who has family there, not far from where you are, who I've been texting on WhatsApp this morning. It is so nice to hear you compliment our island for its people. Right, and not just the beautiful beaches and the weather and the sunshine, but you know Jamaica better than me. Look, you're talking about Negril and all these places in Lucy. I have to ask. People. I appreciate you saying that, and I want to ask about you all. Please tell me about you. Tell me about your family. You mentioned your kids. How many kids do you have there? Insane and occupied as you bunker down in your bathroom.
And who is that there sitting with you, David?
Right now, this is my wife, Paige.
Hi, Paige.
The kids right now are in the bathroom with their iPads and headphones on, so they can't hear the wind outside, which we're now currently hearing, picked up probably in the last hour or so.
Lots of coloring books. cars, monster trucks, anything to keep them busy.
Yeah.
She's in charge of the kids. I'm in charge of safety.
Paige, my heart goes out to you. You're talking to two mamas here, and as soon as I heard the kids in the bathroom, I'm like, man, how are you keeping them, sane during this time? Wow.
Well, we certainly hope that you all are fine and that you make it through to the other side without any problems. We're glad you're safe where you are right now. David and Paige Watkins. Oh, you know what? Our meteorologist, Bill Cairns, would like to jump into the conversation and enter the chat. Bill, go ahead. He's got a question for you.
Thanks for joining us, David and Paige. And as you know, you can hear the wind really cranking up. Just from experience, just to tell you guys, in about an hour or two from now, when the wind really begins to pick up, you want to take the mattresses from your hotel room, put them up against the biggest windows, and put furniture up against those mattresses just to protect from any glass that could come in. And then you want to be in your bathroom, in the bathtub with your kids as the eye goes through. So if you haven't done those things already, make sure you do. And I would fill every container you possibly can with water while you can, because there's a chance this could go days, weeks without fresh water for a lot of people in that portion of Jamaica. So if you haven't done those things already, get it done. And I wish you guys the best. We hope to hear from you on the other side.
It looks like they've already done some of that. Thank you to the Watkins family. We appreciate it. And Bill, thank you for that life-saving information. Let's toss it over to you. We're looking at the swirl on the map there, the live pictures. How close are we to seeing Melissa make landfall?
Yeah, so the National Hurricane Center not just has to see portion of the eye on land, but it has to be the center of the eye. So if we look at this being the eye, here's the last image right there. So right now it's right about here. And because it made that jog to the west, the coastline also heads northwards. So that's why we're a little delayed on our landfall. So we're probably going to make a landfall once it gets up here. I'd give it about maybe another 15, 20 minutes or so, and then we'll get that landfall. And we're also waiting to see. We were just talking to the family here. They're right here in Montego Bay. This storm this morning was projected to take a path over Black River and then go like this, with the eye just barely missing Montego Bay. So we're not positive that's going to happen anymore. That's why I want to make sure that everyone there and that family does everything they can to protect themselves, because if they get hit by this Category 5, it's not going to be pretty.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.